An 11-year-old homeless boy took off his only shirt in negative 23-degree weather. Not because he was crazy, because two newborn babies were dying in a wrecked car, and he was the only one who could save them. What he did over the next 8 hours made hardened firefighters weep and 173 Hells Angels bikers fall to their knees. The foster system had locked him in a closet for days without food. His own mother abandoned him with a note that said 3 words no child should ever read. He had every reason to let those babies die and save himself. He had every reason to believe the world owed him nothing. But what happened in that frozen ravine, what a desperate mother whispered to him before losing consciousness, and what a motorcycle club president offered him in a hospital room. This is not the story you think it is. The boy had stopped shivering 20 minutes ago. Jaden Carter, 11 years old, pressed his back against the frozen concrete wall of the abandoned water pumping station and understood exactly what that meant. He had learned about hypothermia the hard way during his first winter on the streets of Denver when a man named Reggie, who slept under the Colfax Avenue Bridge, had explained it to him. When you stop shaking, that is when the cold wins. Your body gives up trying to warm itself. That is when you have maybe an hour, maybe 2, before your heart just stops. Reggie did not survive that winter. Now, on December 19th, 2018, Jaden sat in an abandoned building 3 miles off Interstate 70, and the mercury thermometer on the wall read negative 23 degrees Celsius. 3 days without food. His stomach had stopped growling yesterday, which was almost worse than the hunger itself. The body learned to stop asking for what it would not receive. The wind screamed outside, throwing snow against the small windows with a sound like sand in a blender. Even if Jaden could force himself to walk, there was nowhere to walk to. The nearest town was 11 miles. In this weather, with no food in his system and his body temperature dropping, he would not make it one. So he sat, and he waited, and he felt his heartbeat slowing, each thump coming further apart than the last. His eyes were getting heavy. That was the second sign after the shivering stopped. The body, unable to maintain its core temperature, began shutting down non-essential functions. Consciousness was apparently non-essential. Stay awake, stay awake, stay awake. He bit the inside of his cheek hard enough to draw blood. The pain helped a little. The copper taste in his mouth reminded him that he was still alive. Then, cutting through the howl of the blizzard, Jaden heard something that changed everything. The screech of tires, the sickening crunch of metal against something solid, a crash that seemed to shake the frozen ground beneath him, and then, impossibly, the sound of a baby crying. Jaden's heart, sluggish with cold, suddenly pounded hard against his ribs. A baby, out there, in this. His legs would not obey when he tried to stand. They buckled beneath him, dead weight that had stopped receiving instructions from his brain. The cold had progressed further than he thought. So he crawled, hands and knees, across the frozen concrete floor toward the heavy metal door. Each movement was agony. His fingers had turned the color of old wax, pale and slightly blue. He could not feel them anymore. The door scraped open, and the wind hit him like a physical blow. Snow drove into his face, blinding him. The temperature outside was impossibly worse than inside, but the baby was still crying. Jaden followed the sound, crawling through snow that came up to his elbows. 20 yards, 30. It felt like miles. His body was screaming at him to stop, to lie down, to let the snow cover him like a blanket and sleep forever. He did not stop. Reggie did not survive that winter. Jaden was not going to end the same way. And neither was whoever was crying in that darkness. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me where you are watching from. Trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. The car appeared out of the white chaos like a wounded animal. A black SUV, the kind families drove on ski vacations, had slid off the pavement and slammed sideways into a concrete utility pole. The impact had caved in the driver's side door and shattered every window. The vehicle had then rolled, coming to rest on its side in a ditch filled with 3 feet of snow. Jaden pressed his face against the shattered rear window, squinting through the storm in his own fading vision. 2 car seats, rear-facing, designed for newborns, and in those seats, 2 tiny forms that could not have been more than a few days old. The crying was coming from one of them, a thin, reedy wail that sounded less like a human infant and more like a wounded animal. The other baby was silent. Silent babies in freezing temperatures were not sleeping. They were dying. Jaden looked toward the front of the vehicle. The driver, a man in his mid-30s with blood running down his face, was slumped against the steering wheel, unconscious but breathing. On the passenger side, a woman. Young, late 20s, dark hair matted with blood. She was pinned, the dashboard crumpled inward, trapping her legs. Her eyes were open, and when she saw Jaden's face in the window, those eyes locked onto his with desperate intensity. The babies. Please. My babies. Jaden did not hesitate. Hesitation on the streets meant death. You saw someone in need. You helped or you did not, but you decided fast. He wrapped his jacket around his arm and punched through the safety glass, once, twice, 3 times. Pain exploded up his forearm, but pain was just information. Pain told you that you were still alive. The hole was barely big enough. He squeezed through, glass scraping his ribs, drawing blood. And then he was inside. The temperature in the car was dropping fast. Jaden could see his breath forming thick clouds. He could see the same clouds forming around the mouths of the newborns, but their clouds were small. Too small. Too weak. He had learned about infant hypothermia from a nurse at a homeless shelter. Babies lose heat 4 times faster than adults. If you find a baby in a cold situation, the most important thing is skin-to-skin contact, direct body heat. That is what saves them. Skin-to-skin contact. Jaden looked at his jacket, his only protection against negative 23 degrees. He looked at the 2 babies, their skin turning blue, their lives measured in minutes. The math was simple. The math was brutal. If he gave them his heat, he might not survive the night. If he did not, they would definitely not survive the next hour. He was 11 years old. He had no one waiting for him. No family, no home, no future that he could see. These babies had someone. A mother begging for their lives. A father who would wake up needing to see his children breathing. If you are feeling the weight of this choice right now, if you understand what it means to give everything for someone you have never met, hit that like button. You are not alone. Jaden pulled off his shirt. The cold hit his bare skin like 1,000 needles, instant and vicious. His body tried to shiver, but he was already too far gone for that. Instead, he felt a deep bone-level ache that made his teeth want to chatter, but could not quite manage it. He reached for the silent baby first. The boy, the one closer to death. The car seat straps were complicated, but Jaden's fingers had picked locks and untangled fishing line for bait. He found the release button and carefully lifted the tiny body from the seat. The baby weighed nothing, maybe 6 pounds. How could something so small be so important? He pressed the infant against his bare chest, positioning the small head above his heart where the warmth was greatest. Then he reached for the second baby, the girl who was still crying. The crying was a good sign. Crying meant energy. Crying meant life. He freed her from the car seat and positioned her against his chest as well, one baby on each side, both pressed against skin that was cold but still warmer than the air around them. Then he grabbed his jacket and wrapped it around all 3 of them. The woman in the front seat was watching. Tears were freezing on her cheeks. What is your name? Jaden. Jaden. I am Megan. Those are my babies, Lily and Noah. They are 4 days old. We were coming home from the hospital. The storm came out of nowhere. Marcus, my husband, he tried to stop, but the road was ice, and we just... Her voice broke into a sob. Please do not let them die. Please. I will not. He did not know if it was a promise he could keep. He did not know if his body had enough heat left to share, but he said it anyway. I will not let them die. He settled into the corner of the overturned SUV, the 2 newborns pressed against his chest, his jacket wrapped around them like a shield. The wind screamed through the broken windows. Snow began to accumulate on his exposed shoulders. 8 hours. That was how long a healthy adult could survive severe hypothermia with proper technique. 8 hours until rescue or 8 hours until death. Jaden was not a healthy adult. He was an 11-year-old boy who had not eaten in 3 days, who was already hypothermic before he left the pumping station, who was now shirtless at negative 23 degrees. In 30 miles, 173 bikers would soon tear through this blizzard looking for this car. But Jaden did not know that yet. All he knew was counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each number was proof that time was passing, that this would eventually end, that nothing lasted forever. The twins were warming against his chest. He could feel it. Their skin, which had been cold and clammy, was now merely cool. The boy, Noah, had started to move, tiny limbs twitching against Jaden's ribs. The girl, Lily, had stopped crying, but her breathing was steady. They were alive. He was keeping them alive. His fingers had turned purple. The color was creeping toward his wrists. Jaden kept counting. If you believe that a child willing to sacrifice everything for strangers deserves to survive this night, type the word strength in the comments. Let Jaden know he is not alone. 47 miles away, Derek Coleman was pacing a hole in the floor of the Hells Angels clubhouse. The main room could hold 200 people comfortably. On any normal Friday night, it would be alive with music and laughter and the rumble of bikes. Tonight, it was silent except for Derek's boots hitting the concrete. She should have been home 4 hours ago. 4 hours. The hospital is 90 minutes away. Even in bad weather, she should have been home. Tommy Reeves, the club's vice president, was sitting at the bar watching Derek pace. They called him Pitbull, a man built like a refrigerator with a beard that reached his chest. Storm came up fast. Maybe she pulled over somewhere. She's not answering her phone. Cell towers go down in weather like this. You know that. Derek stopped pacing. He turned to face Tommy, and the expression on his face made the vice president stand up. In 15 years with the club, Tommy had seen Derek face down rival gangs, police raids, bar fights that turned into near riots. He had seen Derek take a knife to the ribs and keep fighting like he had not noticed. He had never seen Derek look like this. Something is wrong. I can feel it. The same way I knew when my first marriage fell apart, the same way I knew before the divorce papers came. Something is wrong with my family. Tommy did not argue. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. What are you doing? Calling in the cavalry. The call went out at 9:47 in the evening. Within the Hells Angels, there was an informal system for emergencies, a phone tree that could mobilize dozens of members within minutes. Tommy called 3 numbers. Those 3 called 3 more each. Within 15 minutes, phones were ringing across Colorado. The message was simple. Hammer's wife and newborn twins are missing. Storm on Interstate 70. All hands. By 10:15, 32 bikes had arrived at the clubhouse. By 10:30, 61. By 11, the parking lot was overflowing with motorcycles, and men in leather vests were spilling onto the street, engines idling, breath-forming clouds in the frozen air. 173 riders in total. Derek stood at the front of the assembled crowd, his own Harley rumbling beneath him. My wife left the hospital at 5 in the afternoon. She was driving our black Suburban. She had our 4-day-old twins in the back seat. Somewhere on Interstate 70, something went wrong. The police are spread thin dealing with accidents across the state. We are on our own. A murmur ran through the crowd, not of complaint, of acceptance, of readiness. We split into groups of 10. Each group takes a section of the route. You find anything, you call it in immediately. We find them together, or we do not find them at all. Tommy stepped forward. Weather Service says the storm is getting worse. Visibility is down to 50 feet. Wind chill is pushing 40 below. This is dangerous. Anyone who wants to sit this out, no judgment. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. 173 engines continued to idle, waiting. Derek felt something crack in his chest. These men were about to ride into a blizzard that could kill them. Not for money, not for revenge, for family. Let us ride. 173 motorcycles roared to life, and the convoy began to move. In 30 miles, Jaden's legs had gone completely numb. The purple color had spread past his wrists. He kept counting. 412, 413, 414. The search was methodical and agonizing. The first group found nothing along the initial stretch of highway, just empty road and drifting snow. The second group discovered an abandoned sedan near Idaho Springs, but it was not Megan's car. The third group had to stop when 2 bikes went down on an icy patch, riders skidding across the pavement but miraculously walking away with nothing but bruises. Derek led the fourth group himself, pushing deeper into the mountains where the storm was at its worst. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. The wind tried to throw him off his bike with every gust. He did not slow down. Megan's face kept appearing in his mind. The way she looked that morning, exhausted and radiant, holding Lily and Noah against her chest. The way she smiled and said, "Go to work. We will be fine. I will see you tonight." He should have driven them himself. He should have ignored everything except getting his family home safe. Please, let them be alive. I will do anything, give up anything. Just let them be okay. At 2:17 in the morning, his phone rang. Hammer, this is Spider. We found something. Tire tracks going off the road about 3 miles east of the Eisenhower Tunnel. They go into a ravine. We cannot see the bottom. I am on my way. Derek cranked his throttle and felt his bike surge forward. The other riders fell in behind him, a convoy of thunder cutting through the white darkness. 23 minutes later, he saw the flashlights. Spider and his group had parked along the shoulder, shining lights down into a void of swirling snow. Derek skidded to a stop and ran to join them. There, Spider pointed. 50 feet below, barely visible through the storm, was a black shape, a vehicle, overturned, windows shattered, his wife's Suburban. Megan, can you hear me? Nothing, no response, just the howl of the storm. We need to get down there, now. The slope is too steep, snow is unstable. We go down without ropes, we are not coming back up. Then we get ropes. My family's in that car. Derek, we need to do this right. We need to do this fast. Every minute is a minute they are freezing. He turned back to the ravine, staring at the wreckage, and felt cold settle into his bones that had nothing to do with the temperature. Hold on, just hold on, I'm coming. In the car below, Jaden had lost track of counting somewhere around 2,000. The babies were still warm against his chest, still breathing, still alive. But Jaden himself was slipping. He could not feel his feet anymore, not numb, gone. His hands had progressed through white to gray to purple. The car creaked and shifted in the snow. Metal groaned. Jaden felt the vehicle slide 3 inches toward a deeper darkness below. We are moving, he said. Megan's voice came weak from the front seat. What? The car. We are sliding. He looked down through the shattered rear window. Below them, the ravine continued another 50 feet into blackness. The only thing holding them in place was a drift of snow packed against the undercarriage, a drift that was slowly compressing under the weight. If you are holding your breath right now, hit that like button. Jaden needs to know people are watching, people are hoping. Jaden pressed himself deeper into the corner of the overturned SUV, trying to distribute his weight away from the downhill side. The car groaned again, another inch of sliding. Megan, do not move. Do not shift your weight at all. What is happening? We are on a ledge. There is more ravine below us. If we slide too far... He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. The twins stirred against his chest. Lily made a small sound, not quite a cry, more like a question. Noah's tiny hand gripped Jaden's finger with surprising strength. It is okay. I have got you. I am not letting go. Megan was crying softly in the front seat. Jaden, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry you are here. This should not be your burden. It is not a burden. You are 11 years old. You should be home, safe, warm, not dying in a car with strangers. Jaden considered this. Home, safe, warm. He could not remember the last time any of those words applied to his life. You are not strangers. Not anymore. Time became strange after that. The darkness outside had not changed. The wind still howled. The red emergency light still blinked every few seconds. But something had shifted between them. Megan talked to stay awake. She told him about Derek, how he had been a Marine for 8 years, how he owned a motorcycle repair shop, how people were scared of him because of his size and his tattoos, but he cried at dog food commercials and refused to kill spiders. He is going to be the best father, Megan said. He already is. Jaden thought about the fathers he had known. Richard Holbrook, who taught him what cruelty looked like behind closed doors, the thinking room, the darkness, the promise that if he told anyone, he would go somewhere worse. He tried to imagine a father who cried at commercials, who read stories to babies who could not hear him yet. Tell me about yourself, Megan said. I want to know who is saving my children. Jaden had never told anyone his story, but Megan deserved to know. My mom left when I was 7. Just left. Note on the counter saying she could not do it anymore. After that, foster care. 4 families. Some were okay, some were not. What happened with the ones that were not? Bad things. The kind that make you run away and never look back. How long have you been alone? 17 months. Silence. Then a sharp intake of breath. You have been homeless for 17 months? But you were just a child. I have not been a child since I was 7. The car shifted again. Half an inch. The metal screamed against rock somewhere beneath them. Jaden, Megan's voice had changed, stronger despite the fear. When we get out of here, you are not going back to the streets. Do you understand me? You are coming home with us. He had heard promises like that before, from social workers, from foster parents. Promises were just words. But there was something in Megan's voice, something desperate, something real. Promise me, she said. Promise you will give us a chance, that you will not disappear the first opportunity you get. Jaden looked at the twins sleeping against his chest. He thought about the pumping station, the cold concrete, the loneliness so constant he barely noticed it anymore. I promise, he said. He was not sure if it was a lie. The car groaned. The snow beneath them shifted, and somewhere above, 173 bikers were rigging ropes to come down. If you understand what it means to make a promise when you have been broken by broken promises, type the word trust in the comments. Jaden is learning what that word means for the first time. The rescue team arrived at 4:32 in the morning. Derek heard them before he saw them. The heavy thump of helicopter blades cutting through the storm, the wail of sirens from emergency vehicles fighting up the mountain road. The wind had finally begun to die down, the worst of the blizzard moving east, leaving behind a frozen landscape that glittered under the first gray hints of dawn. He had not slept. He had not eaten. He had not moved from the edge of that ravine for over 2 hours, shouting through a bullhorn that the storm mostly swallowed, telling Megan to hold on. Help was coming. Just hold on. She had stopped responding 40 minutes ago. Sir, you need to step back. A firefighter in full rescue gear was trying to guide him away from the edge. We have a team going down now. Professional climbers. Let us do our job. That is my wife down there, my children. I understand. But if you fall into that ravine, you become another person we have to rescue. Tommy was there, one massive hand on Derek's shoulder, holding him in place. Let them work, brother. They will bring them up. The rescue team rappelled down in pairs, headlamps cutting bright lines through the snow. Derek watched them reach the car, watched them circle it, watched them shine lights through the shattered windows. He could not hear what they were saying, but he could see their body language. He could see them stop. He could see one of them press a hand to his radio and speak urgently. Then he saw them pull someone from the car. Not his wife, not his children. A small figure, child-sized, being lifted out and laid on a stretcher. What the hell? Tommy muttered. Another rescuer was reaching into the car now, and this time Derek saw what he had been praying for. 2 tiny bundles being passed from one set of hands to another with infinite care. His children, alive, moving. Derek's knees buckled. If Tommy had not been holding him, he would have collapsed. They are okay. Tommy, they are okay. I see them, brother. I see them. The rescue team worked quickly, loading stretchers into a basket to be winched up the ravine. The child came first, still unconscious, wrapped in thermal blankets, an oxygen mask over a face Derek did not recognize. Then, the babies. Both crying. The most beautiful sound Derek had ever heard. Then Megan. She was conscious, barely. Her eyes searched the crowd until they found him. Derek. Her voice was a whisper. The boy. You have to help the boy. What boy? Megan, what happened? He saved them. He found us. He kept them warm. For hours. He held them against his skin. He gave them everything. Derek looked at the stretcher carrying the unconscious child. For the first time, he really looked. The boy was maybe 11, painfully thin, dark hair matted with snow. He was shirtless, and his skin had taken on a grayish pallor that Derek recognized from his Marine days. Severe hypothermia. The kind that killed people. The kind that this boy had risked to save 2 babies he had never met. Who is he? His name is Jaden. He is homeless. He was living in an abandoned building nearby. He heard the crash. He came to help. Megan's voice broke. He is 11 years old. He held our babies for 8 hours. He kept them alive when I could not. If you are watching this right now and you feel the weight of what this boy did, hit that subscribe button. You are not liking a video. You are acknowledging a hero who asked for nothing in return. The firefighters arrived at the hospital at 7:15 in the morning. There were 6 of them. The core team that had rappelled into the ravine. That had pulled Jaden and the babies and Megan from the wreckage. They came through the emergency room doors, still wearing most of their gear, faces red from the cold, eyes carrying the look of men who had seen something they would not soon forget. Their captain was Rodriguez, 43 years old, 21 years on the job, he had seen house fires that claimed entire families. He had pulled bodies from car wrecks. He had held the hands of dying people and promised them things he could not deliver. He had never seen anything like what he found in that car. The boy was hypothermic when we reached him, Rodriguez said. He was standing in the waiting room, surrounded by bikers who had come inside to hear. Core temperature of 86 degrees. For reference, below 95 is hypothermic. Below 82 is usually fatal. He was 3 degrees from death. A murmur ran through the crowd. But the babies were warm, both of them. We checked their temperatures immediately. 97 and 97.4, nearly perfect. In a car below freezing, in a storm that dropped to 23 below. Those babies should have been gone within an hour. How? Someone asked. Rodriguez shook his head slowly. The boy had them pressed against his bare chest. Direct skin-to-skin contact. He had removed his shirt and wrapped it around them with his jacket. He used his body heat to keep them alive. For how long? Based on the timeline, the crash happened around 6 in the evening. We reached them at 4:30. Roughly 8 hours. 8 hours of sustained contact in the worst storm this state has seen in 15 years. Rodriguez paused. I have been doing this job for over 2 decades. I've never seen anything like it. Derek was listening from the edge of the group. He had known the basics from Megan's account, but hearing it laid out like this hit him like a physical blow. 8 hours. A boy with no food in his stomach, no fat on his bones, no reason to care about strangers, had spent 8 hours giving away his own heat. 8 hours knowing that every calorie of warmth he gave those babies was a calorie his own body needed. 8 hours choosing to save them instead of himself. The mother was conscious when we found her, Rodriguez continued. She told us what happened. The boy found them by accident. He heard the crash. Could have stayed where he was. Could have protected himself. Instead, he crawled through the snow. His footwear was completely inadequate. By the time he reached the car, he could barely walk, so he crawled the last 50 yards. Another murmur. Derek closed his eyes. When he got there, he assessed the situation immediately. The driver, unconscious. The mother, pinned. The babies already hypothermic. He made the only decision that could have saved them. He gave them his heat, Derek said quietly. Everything he had. He stripped off his shirt in negative 23 degrees. He positioned the babies against the warmest parts of his body. He created insulation and wedged himself into a corner to minimize wind exposure. How did he know to do that? Someone asked. He is 11 years old. We asked him that. Briefly, before he lost consciousness, he said a nurse at a homeless shelter taught him about hypothermia. He paid attention because he thought it might save his life someday. Rodriguez's voice cracked. He did not use that knowledge to save his own life. He used it to save 2 babies he had never met. The silence in the waiting room was absolute. Rodriguez wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. In 21 years, I have seen heroes, civilians who pulled people from burning buildings, parents who shielded their children, strangers who performed CPR until we arrived. But this boy, this is something different. This is a level of selflessness I did not know existed. He looked around at the bikers, these rough men in leather who had ridden through a blizzard to find their own. You should be proud, not just of finding them, but of being the kind of family that inspires this response. 173 people risking their lives for family. Not strangers, Derek said. Family. That is what I mean. When is the last time any of us saw that many people drop everything for family? Rodriguez shook his head. I came here to give a report, but I'm leaving with something else. What is that? Hope. I've been doing this long enough to get cynical, to think people are basically selfish. Tonight I was proven wrong. By a homeless boy, by a motorcycle club, by everyone who showed up when it mattered. He turned toward the door, then paused. The boy. Jaden. Is anyone going to be with him when he wakes up? I am, Derek said. Rodriguez nodded. Good. He deserves that. He deserves everything. If you are feeling this moment, if you understand what it means to witness real heroism, type 8 hours in the comments. Let us fill this section with recognition for what sacrifice actually looks like. The sun was fully up when Jaden opened his eyes. He did not know where he was at first. The ceiling was wrong. White tiles with fluorescent lights instead of cracked concrete. The sounds were wrong. Beeping machines instead of wind and silence. The smells were wrong. Antiseptic instead of rust. And he was warm. Actually warm. Not the desperate warmth of a body burning its last reserves, real warmth. For a moment, he thought he was dead. Then the pain hit, his hands, his feet. They felt like hot irons pressing against them. A searing agony that made him gasp. "Hey, easy." A voice, deep, male. "You are okay, you are safe. The pain is from the warming. It means circulation is coming back. That is good." Jayden forced his eyes to focus. A face swam into view. A big man with broad shoulders and tattoos visible at his collar, red-rimmed eyes like he had been crying or had not slept. "Where am I?" "St. Luke's Hospital, Denver. You have been out for about 2 hours. The doctors say you are going to be okay. Your hands and feet, there is frostbite damage, but they are optimistic. They think they can save everything. Save everything." Jayden did not understand. Then he remembered. The cold. The car. The babies pressed against his chest. The babies. Were they alive? Both of them. Perfectly healthy. The man's voice broke on the last word. "Because of you." Jayden sank back against the pillows. They were okay. Whatever happened to him, they were okay. And the woman? Megan? She's going to be fine. Her legs need surgery. But she's going to walk again. She's going to live. The man leaned forward. "You saved my family, Jayden. My wife. My children. You saved all of them. My family." This was Derek, the Marine, the biker, the man who cried at commercials and refused to kill spiders. "You are Derek," Jayden said. "I am Derek. And I need you to understand something. What you did last night, what you gave, I can never repay. Never. But I am going to spend the rest of my life trying. You do not owe me anything. I owe you everything. And so does every member of my club. Do you know how many people are in that waiting room? How many rode through a blizzard to find that car?" Jayden shook his head. 173. 173 brothers who consider my family their family. Every single one is out there waiting to meet the boy who saved their president's children. President? Jayden filed that away. They want to meet me? They want to thank you. They want to shake your hand when your hands are ready. They want you to know you are not alone anymore. Derek squeezed his hand gently. "You are never going to be alone again. I promise you that." Another promise. Another chance for disappointment. But for the first time in years, Jayden found himself hoping this promise might be different. The conversation about Jayden's future happened on the 15th day. Derek arrived alone. He closed the door behind him. He sat down with an expression Jayden had never seen. Nervous, uncertain. "We need to talk." Jayden's stomach dropped. He knew this moment. The conversation where foster parents explained why he could not stay. The carefully worded phrases about fit and resources and what is best for everyone. "Okay," he said, keeping his voice neutral. "The doctors say you will be discharged in about a week, which means we need to figure out where you are going." Here it comes, Jayden thought. Back to the system, back to the streets. The social workers have been calling. They want to put you back into foster care. There's a family in Aurora they think might be a good fit. Aurora, where the Holbrooks lived, where the thinking room was. "Okay," Jayden said again. His voice was flat now. "I told them no." Jayden blinked. "What?" "I told them no. I told them you were not going back into the system. I told them you had a home already." Derek leaned forward. "With us. With me and Megan and Lily and Noah, if you want it." The words did not make sense. A home. A real home. With a family that wanted him. Hey, you do not have to decide right now. I know you have been let down before. I know people have made promises they did not keep. Why? It was the only word Jayden could manage. Why would you want me? You have your own kids, you have your club. Why would you want someone like me? Derek was quiet for a long moment. When I was 16, I was exactly where you are now. Homeless, alone, convinced nobody cared whether I lived or died. A man named Victor found me sleeping behind his shop. He could have called the cops. Instead, he brought me inside, fed me, gave me a place to sleep, and he told me something I have never forgotten. What did he say? You do not have to earn a place in this world. You just have to accept one when it is offered. Derek focused on Jayden. I'm trying to give you the same thing Victor gave me. A family. A home. People who will stand beside you no matter what. I do not know how to be part of a family. I have never had one. Neither did I. We will figure it out together. What if I mess up? What if I am too broken? You are not broken. You are the least broken person I have ever met. You have been through hell and came out still willing to sacrifice everything for strangers. That is not broken. That is good. For a long moment, neither spoke. The machines beeped their steady rhythms. Oh, okay, Jayden said finally. Okay? Okay, I will try. I want to go home with you. Derek's smile could have lit up the room. Then that is exactly what is going to happen. If you believe that everyone deserves a second chance at family, type the words going home in the comments. Jayden is about to learn what those words really mean. The day Jayden left the hospital, 173 motorcycles were waiting in the parking lot. He stood at the window of his room, looking down at the sea of chrome and leather, and could not believe what he was seeing. Men he had met over the past 3 weeks, men who had visited him and told him stories and treated him like one of their own, were all there, waiting for him. They wanted to escort you home, Derek said from behind him, would not take no for an answer. All of them? All of them. Plus about 40 more from other chapters who heard the story and wanted to be part of it. Derek put a hand on Jayden's shoulder. You are famous now, kid, whether you like it or not. Jayden did not know if he liked it. Fame meant attention. Attention had never been safe in his experience. Attention meant social workers asking questions and foster parents performing for audiences. But this was different. These people were not watching to judge him. They were watching to celebrate him. The discharge process took another hour. Paperwork and prescriptions and physical therapy instructions. Megan was there in a wheelchair of her own, holding Lily while Derek held Noah. The nurses who had cared for Jayden lined up to say goodbye, many of them crying. You changed something here, one of them said, an older woman named Patricia. The way you handled everything, the way you stayed positive, the way you cared about everyone else even when you were hurting. You reminded us why we do this job. Jayden did not know what to say, so he just hugged her. Then they were outside, and the sound hit him like a wave. 173 engines rumbling in unison. Thunder that shook the ground beneath his feet. The bikers had arranged themselves in formation, leaving a path down the center that led to Derek's Harley, equipped with a custom sidecar. For you, Derek said, until you are old enough to ride your own. My own? Every member of this family has a bike. You will get yours when you are 16. In the meantime, you ride with me. Jayden climbed into the sidecar. Derek settled onto the main seat and kicked the engine to life. Ready to go home? Home. The word still felt foreign, but for the first time, it also felt possible. Ready. Derek raised his fist in the air, and 173 voices roared in response. The convoy began to move, rolling out of the parking lot and onto the streets of Denver, a river of chrome and leather flowing through the city. People stopped on sidewalks to watch. Cars pulled over. Some waved, some took pictures. Some just stared, trying to understand what kind of event could warrant a motorcycle escort of this size. Jayden waved back. He smiled. He let himself feel, for the first time in years, like someone worth celebrating. The ride took 40 minutes, through the city and into the suburbs, past neighborhoods that grew progressively nicer until they reached a street lined with mature trees. Derek's house was at the end of a cul-de-sac, a 2-story Craftsman with a wraparound porch. The bikers filled the street, parking on both sides, climbing off their machines. Someone had hung a banner across the porch. Welcome home, Jayden. We did not know your favorite color, Tommy said, appearing at his side, so we went with all of them. The banner was printed in a rainbow of colors. It is perfect, Jayden said, and he meant it. The house smelled like home. Jayden did not know how else to describe it. Food cooking somewhere, a fire crackling, sounds of life everywhere, conversations and laughter and babies crying in that healthy way babies cry when they are fed and warm and loved. Derek gave him the tour. Living room with comfortable couches, kitchen with a refrigerator covered in photos, dining room with a table big enough for 12, and then upstairs. This is your room, Derek said, opening a door at the end of the hallway. Jayden stepped inside and stopped breathing. A bed with a thick blue comforter, A desk by the window stocked with notebooks and pencils. A bookshelf half filled with adventure stories and comics. A closet with clothes that looked like they might actually fit him, but that was not what stopped his breath. On the nightstand, in a silver frame, was a photograph. Jaden recognized it immediately. From the hospital. He was holding Lily, his bandaged hands gentle around her tiny body. And he was smiling. Really smiling. Not the fake smile he had learned to perform. A real one that reached his eyes. "Megan picked that frame," Derek said. "She wanted you to see yourself the way we see you. Happy? Part of something." Jaden picked up the photograph and stared at it. The boy in the picture did look happy. He looked like someone who belonged. "Is this real?" "It is real. And you are not going to—" He could not finish. "Send me back. Change your mind. Disappear." Derek knelt down so they were at eye level. "Jaden, look at me." He waited until the boy's eyes met his. "I know you have been hurt. I know people made promises they did not keep. I know you have learned to protect yourself by not believing." Jaden nodded. "But I need you to hear me. You are my son now. Legally, officially, permanently. The adoption paperwork is already filed. By next month, your name will be Jaden Coleman. Nothing in this world will ever change that." "You already filed?" "The day after we talked. Megan and I discussed it that first night in the hospital. Before you even woke up. We knew. We knew you were supposed to be ours." Jaden started crying. He could not help it. 17 months of walls, 4 years of foster homes, 11 years of abandonment, all of it came crashing down, and he stood in his new room, his first real room, and sobbed. Derek held him, did not say anything, did not try to fix it, just held him and let him cry until the tears ran out. "I am sorry," Jaden said finally. "Do not ever apologize for feeling things. That is what family is for. Family. The word did not feel foreign anymore." 5 years later, Jaden stood on a stage at the National Motorcycle Rally in Sturgis, South Dakota, looking out at over 2,000 bikers. He was 16 now, tall for his age, with broad shoulders that hinted at the man he would become. His hands bore faint scars from the frostbite, barely visible unless you knew to look. He rode his own motorcycle, a Harley Street 750 that Derek had helped him customize. He wore a vest with patches that told his story. Beside him stood Lily and Noah, now 5 years old. They held his hands like it was the most natural thing in the world, because to them, it was. They had never known life without their big brother. 5 years ago, Jaden said into the microphone, "I was dying in a blizzard. I was 11 years old, homeless. I'd given up on everything. I thought I was invisible. I thought nobody cared if I lived or died. 2,000 bikers stood in absolute silence. Then I heard a crash. I found 2 babies who needed help. And I made a choice. The same choice any of you would have made. I decided their lives mattered more than my comfort, more than my safety, more than anything." He squeezed Lily and Noah's hands. "But here's what I did not know then. I did not know that choice would save me too. I did not know the family I helped would turn around and give me everything I never thought I could have. A home. A name. Parents who love me. A brother and sister who think I hung the moon." He looked at Derek and Megan in the front row. Megan was crying. Derek was trying not to. The Jaden Project started 2 years ago, right here in this community. We have helped 47 homeless kids find families through motorcycle clubs in 7 states. 47 kids who were invisible, just like I was. 47 kids who now have homes and people who love them. Applause began to build. But we are not done. There are thousands more out there, sleeping under bridges, hiding from systems that failed them, convinced nobody cares. I am here to tell you that we care. This community cares. Every single one of you who rode through that blizzard proved it. The applause was thunderous now. So here is what I am asking. Look around your communities. Open your eyes to the invisible kids. Be the Victor who gave Derek a chance. Be the Derek who gave me a chance. Be the family someone is waiting for." He paused, letting the moment settle. 5 years ago, I was nobody. Today, standing here with my brother and sister, I know exactly who I am. I am Jaden Coleman. I am a son, a brother, a member of this family. and I am living proof that one act of love can change everything. 2,000 people rose to their feet. The roar shook the stage. In the front row, Derek wiped his eyes and thought about that freezing night in Colorado. A homeless boy who chose to give everything he had. Some debts could never be repaid, but you could spend the rest of your life trying, and that was exactly what love looked like. This story proves that the smallest act of kindness can change everything. If you believe people like Jaden and Derek deserve recognition, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I hunt for stories like this to remind you that humanity is still beautiful. Type, "Thank you, Jaden," in the comments if this story touched you. And if you know someone who is struggling, someone who feels invisible, share this video with them. Let them know their story is not over. Because sometimes the family you are looking for is looking for you too.